Wow. Is that Brenton?
Henry probably.
His mic is
Literally
really strong. He's 2 floors away from me. But...
Oh, wow.
My goodness gracious.
Lungs on him.
That is really...
Okay.
We wait a little bit. Kate said she can't join today because she's got day job stuff.
Okay.
What else? Who else are we waiting for? John?
John by phone. I mean, I don't know who else. Anyone who arrives late, I suppose.
Yeah, but I think we can get cracking, right?
Sure.
How's everyone doing?
Okay. Do you want me to do this one, Maeve? I know you're still tired.
Yeah, that would be great. Thanks, Michelle.
Yeah, sorry, I completely forgot about that.
Sure.
So yes, how's everyone doing? Where are we at with thumbs up, thumbs down, thumbs middle? Kind of, yeah. So where are we at with the TRO isn't the one going to, no, it's not. But do we have any business left on the TRO today? Thumbs up.
Not today. I did a doodle that's going to just find out a best time, and maybe quicker just to do this for David and Quentin and Michelle. Tomorrow or Friday, what would suit you to just do like a wrap up of the TRO?
Oh, I'm not free till after 10 or 11, 10:30 or something like that. Then I'm free.
Tomorrow?
Yeah, tomorrow, Friday. And I'm not free after like 8, but that shouldn't be a problem.
David and Quentin,
I could do after. Yeah, my calendar is behaving oddly. It's not letting me view it.
Well, let's look at the plan is actually just a message in the Slack. So
all right, let's do a message in the Slack.
So I'll message in the Slack, and we can just select time that's best for all of us, and we just have a case of just wrapping up the TRO, kind of like in the weed stuff that's not going to get covered in the.
After 3 p.m. would be
tomorrow.
The best for me.
Tomorrow.
Okay,
I should be able to do that.
We'll work it out in the Slack. We'll work it out in the Slack.
Okay.
Right. But tentatively 3 p.m. tomorrow?
That tentatively, yes. I will say yes. And then we will confirm in the Slack. So the rest of it will happen in the Slack.
Okay, go. Next topic.
Next item is I had a different question, but I can't remember what it was. So the 209A, where are we at, Quentin, with confirming that kind of all the forms are, like, which ones are solid right now and like integrated well is the first question.
So I think we did that list a while ago. I don't think that's really changed dramatically. I think we kind of had a freeze on really big things yesterday.
Okay.
Carolyn and I went through and did like a couple of minor things, and she's also been working on language.
Mm-hmm.
But otherwise, I don't think it's really changing unless it's something that Caroline and I are doing on pair programming, which we did this morning. I think we're going to probably do some more this afternoon.
Okay. And how about the merging into master?
There were some merge conflicts, but also I think that's going to take a couple hours. I'm not going to prioritize that until we finish the rest of this, basically, the things that we have to do together.
So can we switch the Stitch Up branch to be the main branch of the repository?
That might make more sense for now, because I don't remember what the merge conflicts were, but it would just take like an hour or two to do it, but it may not be worth doing if that's another solution.
Okay, I mean, we can at least see what changes are different and like redo the changes onto the Stitch Up branch, and then we can turn it into master. But
yeah, if someone wants to do that, that's fine too. I was thinking I would do it. It's very mechanical, right? Just going through and doing the comparison, but it may not be the best thing to do versus meeting with people and doing things that need to be done together at the same time.
And the phone number is not working for John. So I'm trying to figure out.
You could probably invite him.
Okay, how?
And then get the phone number. Click the invite button.
I don't see an invite button.
She may not have it as a.
Yeah, maybe not because you're not the host. So this is John McConkey, right?
Yeah.
I'll just send it to him.
Is it McConkey, not McConchy?
I think it's McConkey, but I'm not
Cool.
positive.
Okay.
I feel
All
like that's
right.
how he
That's
said
not
it
what
to
I've
me
been
Discuss
before.
talking
this
about,
outside
so.
of here too.
Okay.
So okay, so we're doing Stitch Up. We're gonna change that to the main branch, and I need to write that down as something to remember to do later. To main branch. So another aspect for us is testing is moving forward on a couple individual things right now. Individual, the impoundment, we're writing and running tests for that. Hopefully child support next. Until we can get the flow for the whole thing so that we can look at kind of what we can test for the whole interview and how to set up, how to start running those tests. Get going, Caroline.
So I think we made a couple of changes to the child support. So I'm not sure if that is as ready as some of the other ones yet, but
So maybe we should have a list of which things are more ready and which things are less ready. That will help us decide what to test right now.
yeah, I don't know the best way to get that to you without not actually making progress on stuff is the problem.
Okay. Are they all kind of in a similar place?
I think they're
like
all
we're
like,
not sure how much in flux they are?
I think they're all like probably 90 to 95%, which is fine for you getting, I think if we did
We'll write tests for child support and we'll do
Okay.
child support. I mean, if it's all the same, then we might as well do it for child support as opposed to anything else.
No, that's true.
So we'll do what we can, and we'll try and keep in mind that code is still in flux, and I mean that was going to be true anyway.
That's true. Okay.
So Caroline, how's the flow graphing going for the? We can't hear you. You're on mute.
My keyboard thing doesn't work. I think I asked John to talk to you about that because he's having some issues, and you know. So anyway, I talked to Maeve just like for 2 seconds before not talk to her, but on Slack.
Okay.
So she's given me her online, the online software you use. And so I thought what at least I can do is do a general mock-up for John and then see he's having one problem after another.
It's just technical difficulties mostly, or?
And it's access to the internet, and there's something with his computer, and then it's just endless.
Okay, maybe we need to find someone else to do some.
Yeah.
Maybe you and Kate can do some graphing.
What I was thinking is that Caroline could do a mock-up, because I said to Caroline, if it's easier just to explain the John's here.
Hi, John.
I am.
I think.
Hi
John.
Hi.
Hello.
John, is it John McConchy or John McConkey? Quick question.
You got it the second time, John McConkey, but I respond to McConchy as well as Jonathan.
Cool. Well,
That's
I'm glad that we've learned that 4 weeks after me calling you the wrong name.
No. I'm actually John McConkey. That's I can't imagine being anyone else at this point, even if I wanted to be.
John, we're just talking about the flow chart.
Oh yes.
Maybe Caroline will do some work just with with what Maeve has, the technology Maeve has to give her, just to get some basic foundational things down while maybe you work out some technical difficulties and see how you get with that.
I can give you, I think, which may be a succinct report on this flow charting. One is, unfortunately, because of other matters of provincial importance, I am out of my office most of the week. That is to say, it is being used by bettors. The second thing is, but apart from that, I mean, that doesn't prevent me with my laptop from doing work, and I intend to continue to do so. I am not going to be as efficient. Even remember, that's as efficient. I'm not claiming to be efficient on these flowcharts. But I will finish them. I just don't know whether I can give you a timeline. And Maeve, yes, I was enormously impressed with Maeve's flowchart, which came out of sort of nowhere. Caroline sent it along yesterday. And what did you move? What did you use, Maeve?
Well,
Is that the affidavit one, Caroline?
Yeah.
That was just
yeah.
on the. It's a free thing on Google. It's called Diagrams or something. I've sent the link to Caroline. It's very user friendly, and it's links up with your Google Drive. But I think, was there something that needs to be changed on that one, Caroline, or not?
On the affidavit, I think I have to go back and look at it. I mean, I showed it to John just to say, we've done this. I think it had something to do with the children and the order of the children. There was something.
But basically, what just before you got on the call, John, is what we were saying is that if Caroline wants to start doing some mock-ups, I'm also happy to jump in and help, like laying those out and doing that as well.
Okay, so I think
That's great, because
I go for now.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what. Well, I guess I can do this. Maeve, are you offering yourself as a resource? And I don't mean one that gets picked over every minute. I mean, on these flow charts. That's one question I would have.
Yeah.
Secondly, whichever technology I use, it's just, I think, going to take quite a while to go through the entire interview and map it. It's not wildly difficult because it doesn't have a huge number of, doesn't look like it has a huge number of sort of logical deviations. But I would just, for those of you who are sincerely believing me when I thought this could be done quickly, I'm going to disabuse you of that thought. Because it looks like it's going to be a bit of a grinding process, which I am fully committed to. But I just hope that you're able to consider it to be an activity that nobody waits for.
Right. So for now, I think that's kind of why we're going to put Maeve and Caroline on it, so that we can get it moving a little bit faster for now, and we'll find maybe an assignment that doesn't take up it, like doesn't hold so many technical challenges for you where you are right now, because you don't have the access to your regular tools. So, but perhaps test.
I've never been fired so nicely in my life.
I think we can keep you on. Is this?
But I think test case writing, right? Once we have these flows down,
yes, then we are going to be
easier.
Yeah, we have to.
Scenarios written and then the writing down, and that should be easier for you, John, because you really just need the Google Sheet and the test, the interview.
And we already have some tests that need writing. So there are going to be some people writing them throughout the day already. And if you want to join in and do some writing of tests, then that will, I think, also help that move forward a bit. Yeah.
Sure, I'll do that. What about doing the tests themselves? I know you need tests in order to test them.
I think we still need tests.
But these first tests are going to be run as they're written, remember? Right? So, so these tests will have just been run. And then once the code changes, we will ask them to be run again.
Well, then what I would ask you to do. There's a
significant change in the code.
Okay. If you could just let me know how I pick a test or assign one to me, then that would be very helpful.
Yep, we'll discuss it in the channel. Yeah.
Okay. But then yes, so that's what, if we could just give you a test to write, and I'm not sure, were you on any of the calls yesterday or the day before where I don't think you were. I'm going to send the video that I've been working on how to write the test, because certain things have changed. And there's also documentation.
Thank you.
So let's yeah. Okay.
Yeah, we'll talk about it in the channel.
That should be sticky, I think, in the channel, shouldn't it? Sticky.
Well, I mean, once we have something that can be sticky, we'll discuss it in the channel. We'll get to it in the channel.
Okay, well, that's my issue then. I'll listen for the rest of this.
Okay.
So Caroline,
let us know your thoughts.
Caroline, the flow.
I'm
What are we
working on the
doing?
flow right now.
Right.
So well, how can I help you on that?
Well, if you are, I don't know why you're so tired. Are you too? Because we could just do. I would be love to just do it together because
Yeah.
it's that same kind of thing. But at the same time, I also want to work with Quentin on the language and stuff.
Mhm.
So what's the priority here?
Yeah. So what do you? I don't. Yeah. I mean, I sort of feel like Michelle feels it's a real priority to get the flow chart done so that other people.
You can't get the test case scenarios written without a good overview of how it flows.
I mean, the other part of that is you're 6 hours ahead of us, Maeve. So depending on if you want to go to bed in the next.
It's 6:45.
I'm a person who gets up really early, so by the time it's 8 o'clock at night, I am dead.
Maeve, I try to get Maeve to start leaving at around 4 or 5 our time. Our time.
That works. So,
But what I'm saying is I could, and it's again, Quentin's got has to put babies to bed at night too. So I think if the two of you can figure out what schedule works best for you, and Maeve, are you doing other stuff early in the morning, like 9-10 o'clock in the morning? You doing other work?
Yeah, but I can tomorrow. I'm free tomorrow morning, so I can definitely we can schedule something then.
Yeah, because that's my best time. Is really. Yeah.
So I was also thinking, so maybe if Kate can identify, because there is a lot for you to do right now. You're in very high demand, Caroline, and for good reason.
Well, I'm finally hit this is what I do. I'm finally at the point where I'm ready to go. And I'm telling you, I just love it. I'm so
That's
excited.
wonderful.
You have no idea how excited I am about this. So I'm living it. So, but what I'm saying is, I could work with May whatever's first thing in the morning with you is not too early for me.
I think it might be.
It might be because she goes.
It might be 1 in the morning.
No, that's 2 is when I start work. 2 or 3 is when I start working. You can ask my husband.
Do you just operate on like European time, or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I'll liaise with you in the channel, but in the chat. But I think that we can do tomorrow morning then.
Yeah, if that's okay with you, Michelle. If we push it off till tomorrow morning, but I think we'll get a lot done.
So is it possible that we could put Maeve on it with someone else to get the basics charted out, to just get the rough draft of the shape of it?
Yeah.
And then y'all can work on filling in some of the details.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So, although I think Kate's going to be
busy today.
She's busy, and also she would be good. Some of the details is she'd be a better person for than myself. But certainly, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, I mean, and I could work with Maeve for a couple of hours this afternoon, depending on what Quentin wants to do. I mean, whether you want to. I don't know how late you work, but I could work with you later after it's too late for Maeve.
I could basically do till 4 today, and then I'm sure that Henry will wake up. And then at least I'll have to take a break to get him out of his nap.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So.
I have a thought. Sorry.
Oh,
yes, Lily.
There's Lily.
Okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Quentin, did you finish?
Well, let me say, I guess the one other thing is I could work on other things. There's lots to do. So I have the addenda and the review screens. So I'm flexible. But
Quentin, you could ask Lily to do the addenda. You've done a couple. I think just by telling her which fields need to be done, she could. I'm volunteering her, but I know she could do them.
And if she could set up a good example, then Mark would be able to work on them too.
Yeah, that's basically, so Caroline and I started one today. I actually hadn't done one yet. Matt did one. And so we're doing one for page 1. That could be a good example. And then definitely Lily, if you've already done, we based it on your model originally. Right. So between those 2 examples and the one, if you do have time to do it, Lily, that would be great. Because then Mark, who's on Australian time, would be able to help us on the night shift. Or night shift, at least.
Okay. Let me first address the first thought I had, and then I will come back to here. Okay. I was thinking about this flowchart thing if you are having trouble coordinate with each other's hours and schedules, I'm thinking maybe, for example, if Caroline can just use a pen and paper and draw it and say, this is how the flow chart should look like, and scan it, and then whoever wants to actually put into a software can later then use it.
That's true.
So that's
We could
just
do
my
that.
thought.
That's a very good. Probably. I love how you're just sitting there quietly, like waiting for a break in the conversation.
Yeah.
That is a good idea. I just think, this is the scheduling thing is something that can definitely be taken offline. And we can just negotiate between the three of us, Quentin, Caroline, and myself. When to get this done. I mean, in my mind, the flowchart needs to be done in order to be able to create test case scenarios that are going to be useful, right? Is that correct, Michelle?
For the testing of the full interview, yes. So I mean, and we can do, like Kate is helping us do scenarios for individual ones, and we can do the test cases for the individual ones, but they will not be. We need both, I think.
Yeah.
So. But I mean, now that we have a flow for doing some individual ones, we have that to go on for now. We just
a flow for individual. What individual ones do we have flows for?
So we have the flow for the impoundment, which was super short, and then Kate's going to work on the flow for child support, and I, if I can grab some time, will work on making another individual form available for. I have like two of them, and I can try and make. I mean, three of them, and I can try and make a fourth one that is. That can be tested. Just set it up
like
so
the impoundment that you did, right?
Right.
Maybe the confidential information form is a good one. I feel like that one shouldn't need to be touched too much more.
Confidential.
The defendant information one just is so complex. I feel like we're going to still keep tweaking it. But that would be another good one because it has had a lot of attention paid to it already. But it's just I feel like we might not be done.
Yeah.
I think we just need. I think that thing that we were talking about when we broke. I think that's almost.
That then it'll be set. Yeah, we're just changing the gun part right now. That was what
and the
we
age,
started doing
the age thing, too.
and the age thing, right?
The other thing that I think is quite important is that this is just a thing of procedure. We have a doc assembly Google Drive, and I think that it's going to be beneficial if we start saving. And I'm sorry that might be my failing that I didn't mention this in the channel. We start saving all our stuff there. Generally, that's where we save our stuff.
Absolutely.
But because like things like flowcharts, I'm hearing about these flowcharts that I haven't seen, and that maybe might get lost on different people's computers. Just to have one central place for it to be saved. I don't know if maybe everyone's in agreement with that.
Yeah,
I would be
so
totally
if you're working on something.
Super happy.
You put it into the Google Drive. In terms
Michelle,
of access and stuff.
When you were talking about flows, were you talking about flow charts for those specific things, or are you talking about just the testing, writing the tests?
We need both, right? So I don't know what part you're referring to, but what we need is flow charts so that we can understand how to write the tests.
Yeah, no, but you said something about the flow. We have the flow, and so
we have the flow for individual ones because we have scenarios for individual ones.
Okay, right. Okay, that's all I was trying to understand that, right?
Because Kate is writing the scenarios, which will then be turned into tests.
Okay, right. So you want a flow chart to represent those in the context of the big interview.
Right. We want to be able to fit together how those work in the whole interview and identify what we can isolate for testing most effectively. By understanding the flow of the interview.
Okay, and how they fit in. Yeah, I understand. Okay, that's what I thought. But then when you started saying flow, and then Maeve was saying their flow charts I don't know about, I was just thought.
Yeah.
Let's not duplicate, right?
Too much vocabulary.
Okay, so I'm just conscious of the people's time. It's 5 minutes until 1.
There's two other things I wanted to cover.
Go.
One is I wanted to hear a little bit. I'm going to say them both, so don't jump in. One is a little bit about where things are at with the courts, because that's always a fun update. And the other, I do find it fun. And the other is where things are at with working with the advocates and communicating with Chris and where that is coordinating with Chris about those.
Right, so that comes to me. So one, I've been distracted because I just got a new version of the MOU, which I'm, okay. So that's going back and forth still. We're very, very close. As far as the advocates, it looks like we'll probably be looking to give them something next week to a limited set of folks, because politically we want to sort of start with some folks and then build out, just from a political standpoint. And so I have pinged Chris in the Slack, and I need to respond to his response, but we're in conversation.
Okay. I'll try and keep an eye on that. Ping me if it's been too long or you need a quicker response, and I have a direct number. So
right. Good. No, he was good, and now we're probably not giving something to someone until next week, but so we have a little bit of time.
Okay. And does he know that?
Not yet. I need to respond back to, but he didn't have an exact time before either. So
Okay, that's fair. Cool. Is there other things that people would like to bring up?
Okay, now I want to go back to finish the conversation. The component about the addenda file.
Addenda?
So, what is the best way for me to jump in to create samples with different possible scenarios and see how you use in the Word file, or do I actually do one?
Quentin, you're showing your screen, right?
I'm sharing my screen now. Lily, are you able to see our screen? Or are you able to see this, Lily?
See. Wait. I lost it. Oh, okay.
So it's basically 3 parts to do it, and if there's only one part you can do, then that's fine, and we'll just have to coordinate the rest. So Caroline and I were looking at this form. This is page 1, which is relatively straightforward. We figured out which fields we wanted to allow people to overflow, and probably at some point we have to go back in and do character length limits on the ones that we just doesn't make sense to try to carry over to the next page. So that was the first thing, is identifying which fields needed some more room. So that was this box here, list of cases, and then these 2 big fields. And so I just did some testing with some text to see how much you could fit in.
Okay.
Which is not that much. This is like 200 characters. One line is like 100 characters at the font sizes and the fonts that we're using. So then I made these little code blocks that basically become the trigger for using the addendum.
Okay.
So it's just looking at the length of that field.
Okay.
And then for the cases, that was a little different. It was if we had more than one case, we're automatically triggering the addendum.
Okay.
Then I have to make these kind of placeholder variables that have the word "see addendum" attached after we hit the character limit.
Okay. Do you actually attach that little note, or do you replace it with this sentence and see addendum?
I'm making it. This is my convention that I just did on this one. I don't know if it needs to be followed anywhere else, but I did I attached safe for PDF to the end of the variable name there. And so now I'm going to have to go back in and change that in 2 attachment blocks.
If I can, was that the question? I think what were you asking Lily what to put in the document?
Right.
So she wants to understand if you're putting a checkbox that has a thing next to it that says "see addendum," or if you're putting a
that's what I'm
there
right now is the "see addendum." Is that so? And then
okay.
And then we're creating a Word document. And so I think this is our format that Caroline and I came up with, which I think is a good format for us to use for all of them. This case caption that says clearly addendum, then the name of the form. And then our convention is to reference the part of the form that you're using the addendum for.
Okay.
So either part or section. At least on this form, it seemed to make more sense to have part. On another form, we use section.
Okay.
And this is really following really closely the example that you had done for us already, Lily. So that part should make sense. But the key thing is just having that reference. So that you could copy this for the formatting. You could look at this file here once I sync it and commit it to see the naming and the way those code blocks work. So it's basically 3 things in the YAML file, and then mapping that over to the docx file, which will follow this format. That's literally going to be just copied and saved with a new name, and then changed the variables that you need to change, the text that you need to change.
So then this one you have already done? Did you create another one, or what is
Yeah, so I think we have this one. We checked, and we now think there's only, there's like 3 more variables that need addenda for the affidavit of care and custody.
And it's in the same file, right?
In the same file.
Okay.
And then there are 6 more forms that need to be reviewed and addenda created or not. I think all of them, there's a chance for us needing the overflow. So we should do the same thing where we see that. And in some cases, like, let's pull up one more, which I think is I'm not sharing my screen anymore, but, and this will be pretty quick. I think it's helpful to be concrete because it's really fast. So here, right, like all of these fields are kind of small, but we're not going to we'd just be redoing the whole form if we made each of those something you could put in an addendum. But I think probably this guns needs to be expanded because there's not room for very much information about the guns, and this is the form that the police would use.
But I mean, most of the information that's going to be putting in those fields is quite small. It's not a lot of information, right? Are you saying about character limits?
Character limits, yeah.
How do you want to determine? I mean, for these kind of things, how do you want to determine the character limit on these?
I think we should probably do some of this self-regulation. People can see the preview. But we should think ahead for ones, because I don't think it makes sense for us to go through 100 fields and say, okay, this one can have this many characters. That's going to be just not a good use of time. But we should think of in advance. Okay, so this other physical characteristics, that's probably going to need more room to be really descriptive.
But like floor number won't.
2 guns, and they want to describe the guns, that's not enough room.
Mm.
So I think that's
mental health problems. Definitely not enough room. Like,
now, if this
in what world is that enough room?
If this
a world where nobody has mental health problems.
Or maybe a world where no one cares about your mental health problems.
So this world.
Can I say something?
Yes.
Okay, if this form has a lot of fields that can potentially exceed the limit, can we just create a Word file and let it flow?
It's tempting.
Oh, I see what you mean, for the whole form.
Yeah.
I don't, David?
We'll save a lot of time. The only thing is, it won't be one page. It will be whatever pages length, but
I think you want to keep it to what. The reason I think that we want to keep it to this one page is because you give this page to the police if there's an extra page, and they look at it, they know where everything is, and they want to read it quickly and identify the information that they need right away. And then if they need extra information, but I think it's pretty important that it look. I mean, you could do a Word, but I think in the time it would take to do a Word, you could do your addendum. I mean, because you're still going to have to do an a Word.
I'm not sure because when I did mine, I actually typed. I didn't do the conversion, but when I used the software to convert it, it was a mess. So I typed. I use the tables. Mm-hmm. It's not that bad.
So I think the deal breaker is that the output has to look like the form.
It has to look like something they're used to seeing.
Right.
Yeah.
Read quickly, yeah.
But if there's something in your workflow that makes it easier to do a different way, but you can still have the output look the same, then that would be fine.
Yeah, it's the same layout. Like mine.
Yeah.
Right
But
now,
would it need to be
the
one
output
page?
looks just like the PDF form that I got from the court website.
Maybe you can
So-
link it and we can see if if it needs to be one page, then it needs to be one page. And I
Right.
mean, we
Look,
can
Yeah,
make it
it-
plus
into
an
a Word
addendum. I mean,
document,
you can,
but it'll be
the
one page.
addendum
Yeah,
can be,
there'd be addenda.
yeah.
But yeah, the point is people are used to, they're trained to look at these documents and look at the thing that's 2 inches down from the right-hand corner and
Right.
see is
Yeah.
that, so
Okay.
that's the constraint.
Okay.
And it's done too, Lily. So that's something else to keep in mind. Like, so we're really just thinking, I think we shouldn't have more than 5 fields or so, other than
Okay.
if there's a crazy form that has 10 tables on it, okay, we need 10. And then it becomes a little silly to try to cram it in. But all these are done. The only thing we're
Okay.
looking for is overflow. So I think it really will take less time because we've done all of the automation other than these fields that we might overflow.
Okay.
But I mean, really, and realistically, and looking at this one, even with many fields, there's not that many that I can see that will need overflow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we've just identified the 4, or
Yeah.
I think it was like 4 fields. That's it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm just aware of everyone's time here again.
Because
wow.
also, if you redid it as a Word document, you'd still have to do the addendum as a Word document.
No,
Yeah,
it's
this-
one. It's all in one file.
It would all be in one
Section.
file.
No, I realize that, but
If
the
you wanted to make it
addendum
one
would be
page,
a second page.
this might be a conversation, a more complex and nuanced conversation to have. Kind of, can we schedule a meeting for that specific conversation?
For addenda,
Yeah.
I think it is an important.
It's resolved
I mean,
now.
Is it resolved? If it's resolved, then that's fine. But it's okay to, if it needs to be discussed more, then I'm just saying.
Well, I'm just thinking since Mark had expressed interest, do you know, Michelle, timing wise? I think he seems to generally be better his morning or evening.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe Lily and Mark and I should be on a call, or maybe even Matt if he wants to finish up the one that he started.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't know if he's available though. He might not be really available now.
All right. So
I mean,
maybe
it's worth
elicit
just
some
checking.
feedback
Yeah.
in the code. Maybe elicit some feedback in the code channel about
Addendum.
getting a meeting together about the addenda.
Did you have any idea for Mark's availability, or should we just send him a DM?
Well,
Just
pick him.
you can at him in the channel. He knows where to look out for it. And I think around like 7 to 9 or something is when I've seen him be on, but it I think depends on when his kids wake up. So
Okay.
so it's not as or maybe I'm just not remembering, but it's around then, so it's pretty late. And I mean, to be fair, if it's in our morning, then it's pretty early in our morning, so I'm not sure there's a convenient window.
Yeah, I think it's 13 and a half hours. But I don't know,
Yeah.
Lily, does that sound like something
yeah,
that
yeah,
you want to do, or should we
great.
try to do it separately? Because that's fine too. I
Yeah,
was just thinking if we do the orientation, if it's going into more detail than we just did, it probably just makes sense to do it with the 2 people who had been interested in doing it.
Okay. That sounds good to me.
We do this in the
Mabel, you
code channel.
arrange that meeting in the code channel?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm on it.
Now,
I'm on it.
Another version of the MOU is off.
Oh, congratulations.
Good job. Sorry, Lily, you wanted to say something?
right. I just want to say that I right now I cannot check your code out or check my code in yet in GitHub. I'm at the point that I can just clean up my code and check in, but originally I thought I could just push my code from our server, MagicaHomp server,
No.
to my personal GitHub account, and I can fork your repository into my account, but I can't. I don't know. I've only barely
So
knowledge about GitHub, so I cannot.
so what I think we need to do is we need to set you up with a developer account on the Suffolk Lit Lab
Yeah.
server, and then you will be able to
push from there.
Just don't make a fork and don't pull from your fork. Just
Quentin's
pull
shaking his
from
head.
Suffolk
Why?
Lit
No,
Lab.
no, it doesn't have to do with the server. It has to do with her permissions on her GitHub account.
Oh, on her GitHub account. So
I think she has
we can
permission.
do a pull request
she-
from our own
No,
GitHub.
it's not just that, because if you made changes from a fork, you can't push them onto, like,
Is this a conversation that could get taken
and
into
not
the
just
code
that.
channel?
If you set it up from from a fork, then you can, yes, we should do this on the code channel, but you can't pull from Suffolk Lit Lab. You can't even pull from Suffolk Lit Lab. I mean, you can pull, but it won't push back there.
I think this would be a good tutorial and put it on the code, because there's going to be other people who want to do this going forward. And you and I tripped over everything we could, Michelle.
Yeah.
Right?
So let's set that up as a conversation in the code channel.
So there's two conversations that we need to have: the addenda and the pushing
GitHub.
and forking and GitHub thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. For this GitHub thing, probably also point out in case someone starts with their own, like in our case, we start
Well,
with
yeah, let's talk
server.
about that in the channel,
Yeah.
because there's limited time. That's all. Okay. What other items are there to cover?
I just want to put in a request to change the continue button to next.
That's exactly what I was saying yesterday.
Project wide.
Michelle said
great.
exactly the same thing yesterday.
Oh, good, because
really
I've been
did.
saying it to different people, and
You can say good, but I'm not in charge of this boat. So
I'm just saying it. It's good that it's coming from
Confirmation.
somebody else besides me. And
okay.
Confirmation. Is that what you think it should be, David?
No. It's confirmation that it's good because
Confirmation that
Right.
yeah.
Yes,
And
affirmative. I think it should be
yesterday.
I
affirmative.
approve of this message every time.
Yes, I approve. I
All right,
approve.
good.
And also, I think I know the TRO is good, done, dusted, but I also think we ought to have okay, because I think that opening screen that's going to be the brand needs work.
Emily was working on something to do, I don't know if it's specifically a 209A, because she was saying, I think this came up in the conversation of like, who is mass access? Who am I giving my information to?
Right.
What, if generally they're going to have navigated to us from the court page, I think, but I think that
Mass legal help.
And mass legal help, but there just needs to be some kind of a better, I'll check it with Emily and see what she had on that to see if it could be
I
populated.
think that we had talked about how they should just link to the about page on
Yeah, we did. We talked
mass
about
access.
That. But there's also things like we have all uppercase and we shouldn't do that. And we talk about clicking. I mean, that front page is not, I don't think it's adequate.
Every person who we asked to do language review changes everything about it.
I know,
I just accepted all the changes.
I know. Well, remember, I'm the low literacy language person. So that's I'm a little bit different.
So just onto that continue
I'm
versus
not saying
next.
that you're wrong.
Continue versus next. What do we have to do to, are we all, I mean, how do we go through approving that? Is that something, I know that Lance really liked that yesterday on the call as well.
Wait, are we about the next story about something else now?
Continue versus next. So instead of having a button that says continue, the button will say next.
I think we're agreed on that, but I think
small change in the code. It's just
okay.
I don't have a problem with next. Does anyone have a problem with next?
No, I don't think anyone does.
Can anyone articulate why one's better than the other?
I can.
Yes.
All right. Why?
Michelle, you go first.
Arguments.
It's just simpler. It's just a damn shorter word. Next is something people read all the time and is one of the small words.
I'm convinced by the shorter word.
Sorry, yes, shorter word. That's enough. It's just simpler. It's plainer language.
And it's accepted. I mean, it's not unusual. We're not doing something new and different either.
Yep,
yeah,
it's true.
All right. It's next to them. Who needs to make
Sorry.
that change?
That's what I was saying.
I
What's
approve the change.
The action from this? Ooh.
I think we need to make a translation file and point the configuration on the server to that translation file. And it just is going to swap out that one word. And then we have to change any screens that reference continue, because there probably are some places that say click continue that we'll have to make sure say click next.
And we also don't want to use the word click.
What do we want to?
Whatever we should say it. You're right.
I think
That's
we
probably
need to
not best.
figure out what that is. But if you're on a phone, you're not clicking.
Oh, true.
That's a good point. Okay.
Tap does seem to be multi-use. You can tap with your cursor and your finger.
Yeah, I think tap is a good word. And it's shorter.
Or choose, because you can choose with your
Shorter
screen
isn't
reader
always-
software.
Choose.
Or pick.
Choose.
Choose.
Always better.
This is a conversation that we
Yeah.
are gonna.
We
Yeah,
have
it's fascinating, but it's
channel
not for
now.
now. Yeah.
So, but who's sorry? Did anybody take ownership of the next button? Is that what's happening?
Do you want that Quentin with the translation file stuff, or I haven't looked that stuff up before, but I can probably look it up.
It might even
Or-
have changed, because I feel like because Caroline, we talked about this like 2 years ago, and I feel like it was harder then, and Jonathan might have added stuff, which I don't know anything about, to make it easier based on that conversation. So I'd be starting kind of from scratch, I think. But
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I can look into it for sure.
okay.
I mean, I'm probably going to ask in the Doc Assemble channel. If you take time to research it and answer it, Quentin, then that doesn't save us any time.
Yeah, don't do that.
I can do it asynchronously, though. Yeah,
All
we'll
right,
see.
All right.
I think just look on the system-wide configuration page first, and then I would start by looking at the Word, probably replacing the words.yaml file is what I think we need to do. But there might be a simpler way to just change that one phrase based
I
on
think
Caroline's
there
request
is.
2 years ago.
I think you can set the continue button text
You can't.
manually.
We don't want to do that for every question, though. We want to do it globally.
Yeah.
So that's the thing that we have to look up.
No, that's what I mean. I believe
Yeah.
there's a global default setting you can change the continue button text.
Okay.
I'll look this up, but
Okay.
that's what I remember.
I think I did it on my
It's
Tom
probably,
Gore interview, but now I don't remember.
Yes, I did it.
it's a new thing, I think,
Oh,
right?
Lily's done it too.
It was like 2 years ago. But
Okay.
I did it right.
But I think you're right, is that Jonathan might have done, it's worth doing the research and finding out if there's a newer, better way to do it.
I think
Sounds like maybe there
yeah.
is.
Yeah.
A bit of
Trying to
news.
describe
We're
one,
gonna
but
have
okay.
job listings going up ASAP for volunteers. So
Perfect.
I just got that
Yeah.
news.
Oh,
My
that's
news is that I drove past the house that's got Quentin's name on it.
Ah. I love that.
I do want to say that is weird. I do want to say
Only if you're in a non-Dutch speaking country. It's a very common name.
That's true. So I do think we should be aware that even though we're saying we're going to slow down next week, I suspect it will take us a little bit to actually calm down enough to reassess, or at least we're going to have to do it very consciously. I at least am going to take a sec or two to wind down to a pace and to understand how to work at this new pace while still feeling that like there are deadlines and they are being met, right? So just want us to be aware of that moving forward. Okay,
Seems reasonable.
very good.
So I'm gonna liaise with Caroline and Quentin as to the flowchart making, depending on the availability. I'm gonna schedule the see what Mark's availability is like for the addenda, and that'll be Lily
On the code channel.
on the code channel.
Yeah.
And also the other thing on the code channel is the addenda with Lily. And then John, do we want you to assign you a test case
Yeah.
to write?
So I think like right now, I think the best thing is just for people to go on there when they're ready to write the test case, not prematurely, right? When they're ready to write a test case, put their name in the column next to an empty one that isn't assigned, and just go at it. Like that. I think that's the best way, as opposed to having though I think it definitely is worth, maybe for the first few, I can write along, or Maeve can write along, and we can make sure that questions are answered, because there's plenty of questions left. So, but I'm just saying, I think us assigning every single one is not scalable.
Going to be practical. No, I think the basic use of people's time is to actually just click on the test case scenarios, which are pinned or will be, and then assigning themselves
right
to blank ones.
That's good. Yeah, I like that.
Yeah.
Okay, and then as I
That
said,
should
as
work.
Michelle said, we can write along in the sense that you would do the test case, you'd write the test case, but for the first one, you know, I can sit and Michelle can sit in there and watch what you're doing, and you know, if you have any questions, or you know, not do it for you, but actually let you do it and show us what you would be doing. But if it's going horribly wrong, you know, then you don't waste a good few hours trying to write it.
Are you speaking to Jonathan?
Yes. Jonathan, only Jonathan.
Yes.
No
Okay.
Johns allowed.
That's just fine. It'll be nice to have something not go horribly wrong. It's good.
Okay.
I'll
So
look
I think
forward to
that's
that.
all for
go
today
horribly
then.
wrong, but yes, but we'll be there. All right.
Okay, good. Appreciate
That's
it.
all for today.
And the
Thank
flow.
you.
The flow.
Well, that's what we're gonna talk about. Either Caroline will do it, and I'll do that today or tomorrow morning.
Okay, I'll drop off now.
Well, yep. Later, John.
Bye-bye.
So
Bye, John.
Yeah,
no, I
you bet.
mean
Bye.
a
Bye.
rough flow, Maeve.
A rough flow.
Right? So that there's like, so we have, so there's something to work with when you and Caroline start. So there's like this, we talked about making a rougher, like more broad view version of a flow that you all could then fill in more details, or well, you said
So-
Kate knows more details, so maybe not, I don't know.
Yeah, I think.
But maybe
I can-
if Kate knows the details, then maybe Maeve and Kate can do it, right?
Well, I think if Maeve's ready to work, we can just do it right now.
I gotta have dinner, Caroline. You know.
Oh, you have dinner first. Okay, no, do it. If you're gonna do any more tonight and you have
Yeah, I
time
am.
to do it, we can just do it, and then Quentin and I can reconnect because Quentin's got other stuff to do.
Let's
Right?
hop us one now. I can work from 2. Do you guys never eat? What is up with this? Is lunchtime, right? What is this?
You don't
I
see
mean, I
people
eat
queuing in the
in
corners
place.
of the street.
I mean, what do I have to go anywhere to eat for? My mouth's right here.
Michelle gets her food delivered to her on the couch.
It's true. And my mouth's right here. I don't see a problem.
I don't see you guys eating though. I just feel like I'm always the one who's like, I'm hungry. I'm
Oh,
coming.
you've seen me eating chicken nuggets and eggs plenty of
Yeah,
times.
I see Michelle eating all the time at the beginning.
Yeah,
of things.
I'm always snacking.
And I'm definitely
And
shoveling
my
stuff in at the beginning. Right?
popsicles.
I don't
Yeah.
notice that.
I usually
Okay,
do it right
so
before or after.
Caroline, what about 2:15?
Yeah,
Can we
you
do
just
that?
let me know. You just let me
2:15.
know. Yeah, and then Quentin, you're okay with that?
If we just pick up tomorrow, basically, or are we thinking later after you finish with me?
Whenever you're ready. Once I'm done with Maeve,
So it sounds like maybe from like 3 to 4 or so we could try.
or after. It sounds more like after bedtime. If you're working after bedtime.
After bedtime, after my kids' bedtime, I'm not sure if I'll be able to do that today, but
Okay.
we could do in the morning tomorrow.
Yeah, because morning for us, you and me, is different
Mhm.
from morning for Maeve and me.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Morning
it'll
for
be
Caroline
after
and I's 2
9.
a.m.
We could do it as early as 9 for me
Okay.
tomorrow.
Okay.
Fully is in the chat.
That's good.
Okay.
Yeah. That way we'll get this thing done. You've got. I'm not holding you up, and then you and I can dive back in. I think we're pretty. I mean, there's a lot of little bitty things to do, but I think you and I are pretty close to getting the stuff that I've noticed so far.
Okay. Yeah. And so I'll finish up this anyway. I don't have to say everything I'm gonna do. Sorry. That's the one thing. You know.
All right.
Yeah, it's hard not to
Okay,
think out
so
loud. All
see you
right.
soon, everybody.
See you soon, everyone.
Great.
See you.
Bye.
Bye.
Good night.
Leave.